إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهدي الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو الحي الذي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أدى الأمانة وبلغ الرسالة ونصح للأمة فتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يضيع عنها إلا هالك فصلوات ربي عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين اللهم اجعلنا منهم واجعلنا معهم يا أرحم الراحمين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. O you who believe, be conscious of your Lord like He deserves for you to be conscious of Him and die not except upon a state of Islam, upon a state of submission to Him. عباد الله لا شك أن من أنعم الله علينا أنها نعما متعددة. No doubt that the blessings of Allah upon us are of great amount. ولكن نعمة قد يغفل عنها كثير من الناس هي نعمة الإسلام. But a blessing that many people are heedless of, that they don't recognize as a blessing, is the blessing of Islam. Most of us, when we think of blessings, we think of our wealth, we think of our health, we think of our family, we think of our children. No doubt these are all blessings, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِن تَعِدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. And if you were to enumerate, if you were to count, if you were to try to put the blessings of Allah upon you into number, you would never be able to count it fully. Such is the blessings of Allah upon us. But the greatest blessings upon us is the blessing of Islam. And the Prophet ﷺ was passing by one day, as Al-Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah anhu, he narrates, he says that he heard the Prophet ﷺ talk to a Bedouin. And the man said, Alhamdulillah ala ni'mat al-Islam. And the Prophet ﷺ replied to him, لَقَدْ حَمِدْتِ اللَّهَ عَنْ نِعْمَةٍ عَظِيمَةٍ. Verily you have praised Allah, verily you have thanked Allah for a great blessing. And so it makes you think that if the Prophet ﷺ thought of this as a ni'matun azima, as a great blessing, then we should never be heedless of it, as truly a blessing from Allah. That subhanAllah, that you see many people who come upon Islam here and there, and they respect it, they respect the faith, they don't mind it, they don't think we're violent, they realize that. They realize that we're not terrorists. They realize that we're not what the media says. But at the end of the day, they're not blessed with the blessing of Islam. And if you want an example of this, a clear example, don't even look at today, look way past at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Even before that, the father of the monotheistic religions, Ibrahim alayhi salam, his own father, Adam, would worship the idols. And not only that, he would sell the idols and promote them. And so, imagine the case of Ibrahim being the father of the prophets, Abu al-Anbiya, and his own father is a mushrik. How angry must he feel that his own father cannot be saved from the hellfire? That his own father is someone who is a clear mushrik. And imagine the pain of the Prophet ﷺ when his uncle, Abu Talib, is at the brink of death. He's at the edge of death. And the Prophet ﷺ tells him, say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Just say that perhaps I can argue for you in front of Allah. Just say one thing. And at the end, he does not. And it's unfortunate. And then, way after the conquest of Mecca, And Abu Bakr's father, Abi Quhafa, he comes with his son Abu Bakr to the Prophet ﷺ to give him bay'ah and to say the shahada, because he was not a Muslim yet. And Abu Bakr is so happy that his father is becoming a Muslim. But then all of a sudden he starts crying and weeping. And they ask him, what makes you weep, O Abu Bakr? He said, I weep, I'm crying that the Prophet ﷺ wished that his own uncle becomes a Muslim. He wanted it so bad. Imagine you call everyone else to good, but you can't call your own family to good. Imagine you save most of humanity, but you can't save your own blood. And not just that, someone who supported him and helped him. And such was the example of Abu Talib. He stood with him when all of Quraysh was against him. But he was never a Muslim. And so it's really a blessing that, imagine these people, they saw the kindness of the Prophet ﷺ. They saw the light upon his face. They saw the beauty. They knew he was the truth. They saw the miracles. They saw him split the moon in half. But at the same time, it shows you that at the end of the day, it's a blessing of Allah. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. And whatever blessing you have is only from Allah. So just the same way that you think your wealth is a blessing, your Islam is a blessing. And Imam Shafi'i, he would say, Oh Allah, Ya Rabb, كما رزقتني الإسلام ولم أسألك ارزقني الجنة وأنا أسألك. Oh Allah, you gave me, you blessed me with Islam, and I did not ask you for it. I asked you for Jannah, so bless me for it. Give me Jannah and I am begging you for it, oh Allah. And so it's a realization upon us that this Islam is not something that, oh okay, we got it as a cultural thing from our parents. But in that, we had a blessing that our parents were Muslim. Imagine so many people like us today who converted into this religion, but they wish that their own mothers and fathers can be spared the hellfire and be converts or rebirths to Islam. Imagine the pain of realizing your parents, whom you love, whether they're Muslim or not, the pain of seeing them upon polytheism, upon kufr, upon misguidance. You feel pained by it. And so this was the way of the Prophet ﷺ. This was his life, seeing so many of his relatives leave behind without accepting the faith. And so, because of this, we must appreciate it. We must give it its due respect. And you only realize that once you realize the unfortunate example and the unfortunate ways of those who were not guided. And so, again, we use the examples of the best of generations. And there is no better speech to highlight this statement than the speech of Ja'far ibn Abi Talib when he went to Ethiopia and he tried to fight and argue for the Muslims that the king may take them peacefully and not give them back to Quraysh to punish them. And he says, أيها الملك كنا قوما أهل جاهلية. O king, we were a people of clear ignorance. نعبد الأسلام, we would worship pagans. We would worship idols. We were pagans that worshipped idols. ونأكل الميتة, and they would eat the dead meat. ونأتي الفواحش, and we would come close to the worst of things. ونقطع الأرحام, and we would cut the ties of kinship. We did not care for our own bloodline. ونسيء الجوار, and we would be disgusting, we would be really bad to our neighbors. يأكل القوي منا الضعيف, the weak would be oppressed by the strong. The strong would literally eat up the weak. فكنا على ذلك حتى بعث الله فينا رسولا نعرف نسبه وصدقه وأمانته وعفافه. Until Allah set upon us a messenger. We know his lineage. We know his family. We know his honesty. He was known throughout his life before Islam and after Islam that he was a Sadiq al-Amin. Even after he declared the message openly to Quraysh, they hated him, and they hated what he had come with. They would still trust him with their wealth. So much so that when the Prophet ﷺ was about to migrate to Medina, to take the hijrah to Medina, he still had some money left with him from the people who were fighting that they entrusted him with. And so he gave it to Ali ibn Abi Talib. He told him, I'm about to leave, take this money back to the people that entrusted me with it. The people that were fighting him had their money with him, of how trustworthy he was. SubhanAllah. Like, you have to be so confused and so upon misguidance to not see the truth in this man. And so Ja'far continues, Da'ana ilallah. What is the message? What is he calling you to? He said, Da'ana ilallah. That's it. And so when they persecute him, when they persecute the Muslims, the ayah would come down and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would say, أَتَقْتُلُونَ رَجُلٌ أَنْ يَقُولَ رَبِّيَ اللَّهِ. Are you merely persecuting and killing a man that he only says, my Lord is Allah? Is it for this that you are persecuting him? This is their message. When one of the Muslims was in the land of Rustum, and he told one of his soldiers came to the Muslim man and he asked him, what is your message? Why are you guys here? And he said, جِئْنَا لِنُخْرِجَ الْعِبَادِ مِنْ عِبَادَةِ الْعِبَادِ إِلَىٰ عِبَادَةِ رَبِّ الْعِبَادِ. We came to take out the people from worshiping people to worshiping the Lord of the people. Such a clear message, such a clear purpose. They're not here heedlessly. They're here with a purpose. Yes, you enjoy life. Yes, you take care of after your family. Yes, you enjoy all the blessings Allah has blessed you with. But they're your purpose at the end of the day. أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا. Did you think that we created you for nothing? Did you really think that you're just here? You came to a very non-Muslim country, and that you're here just to take the pay every Friday and go home? Is that really our purpose? And he says, جِئْنَا لِنُخْرِجَ الْعِبَادِ مِنْ عِبَادَةِ الْعِبَادِ إِلَىٰ عِبَادَةِ رَبِّ الْعِبَادِ. And so this was the way of the Muslims. This was their purpose. They had a purpose. And so the message would continuously come down to the Prophet ﷺ, and he would realize people not accepting the message. And the Quran would come down and console the Prophet ﷺ. فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ أَلَّا يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ أَسَفًا. And that you kill yourself that they're not accepting this message. You're paining yourself that they're not accepting this message. It's unfortunate, but do not do this to yourself, O Muhammad. And so, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was telling the Prophet ﷺ not to do this. Because at the end of the day, إِنَّمَا عَلَيْكَ الْبَلَاغُ وَعَلَيْنَا الْحِسَابُ. Upon you, O Muhammad, is the delivery. And upon Allah is the judgment. But the Prophet ﷺ would still feel pained that people are not realizing the truth. It would still hurt him. And so we must ask ourselves, are we that way? When we see people in our own society, in our own workplace, in our own schools, upon misguidance, that you want them to embrace a beautiful message, a message that calls to the worship of the Creator and not the creation, that you feel pain. Such was the way of the Prophet ﷺ, that he would feel pain. فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ. That you're killing yourself, O Muhammad, that they're not accepting this message. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would console him in this way, would comfort him in this way. That you feel pain. Although he's telling him not to do this, he's also showing us his way. He's showing us how he was and how we should be. Not that we go around and try to enforce it, but that we should still feel something in our heart. The Prophet ﷺ tells us, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. One of you does not believe until he wishes for his brother what he wishes for himself. And you may think, oh, I wish for my brother to have a nice house, just like I wish it for myself. But what did we say was the greatest blessing? The greatest blessing is being upon the truth, being upon Islam. And if you're not a true believer until you love that for all of humanity. And Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, he says, brother over here does not mean just your brother in Islam. It means your brother in humanity. Not just your brother sitting next to you in salah, but your brother outside that's upon unfortunate actions that you should wish for them to be in safety, to be upon guidance. So, brothers and sisters, this is the way of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, that their purpose was clear, to bring people from the worship of the creation to the worship of the Lord of the creation. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين ولا عاقبة للمتقين. Dear brothers and sisters, when the Prophet ﷺ was asked by his wife Aisha radiallahu anha, when was the worst day of your life, O Prophet of Allah? And he didn't say Uhud, didn't say Badr, when those were actual battles. He said Taif, although it wasn't a war. But the rejection he felt for trying to give people something that they could use not just in this life but the hereafter was so painful. Although it wasn't a war, it wasn't a battle, it was verbal messages back and forth. And he goes to the top 3 leaders of Quraysh, of Taif, and they all reject him clearly. And the Prophet ﷺ tells them, okay, if you reject me, that's fine, but do not tell Quraysh I have come here. And they said that we will do exactly that. That's the first thing we will do. And they kick him out, and they have the kids and the thugs of the city stone him and throw the worst things at him. And so the Prophet ﷺ leaves, and he finds a garden, and he sits down under a tree. And a little boy sees him by the name of Adas. And so after this rejection, Allah sends him this boy with some grapes, and he says, eat. And the Prophet ﷺ eats, and he says, Bismillah. And this Bismillah, this is so simple that we all know, is in itself da'wah. And he says, Bismillah. And the kid is shocked. He says, where did you get this from? The people of this village do not talk like this. Do not know what Allah is. Bismillah, where did you get this from? And the Prophet ﷺ tells him, where are you from, O young man? He says, I am from Nainawa, in Iraq, modern day Iraq. He says, the land of the righteous prophet Yunus ibn Matta. He says, how do you know about him? He's shocked. The people of this village do not know that man. He says, he is a prophet, and like him I am a prophet. And the kid crumbles crying and kisses the hand and the forehead of the Prophet ﷺ and says, only but a prophet would know this. This area could not have heard of this man, Yunus ibn Matta, except for a prophet. And so, it is from the blessing of Allah that He sends Prophet ﷺ, this young child, after being rejected by the leaders of Quraysh, that He sends him a simple child to believe in Him. And that child symbolized the future generation of Medina. The kid would grow up and embrace Islam. And as the Prophet ﷺ did As he said, when Jibreel came down to him right after that boy left, and he says, "O Messenger of God, I have come down with another angel." And this is the first time Jibreel comes down with another angel, and this is the angel of the mountain. And he tells him, "In shi't, لَأَطْبِقْ عَلَيْهِمُ الْأَخْشَبَيْنِ." If you wish, I can crumble the mountain upon them. I could literally crush them, and they'll be forgotten. And he says, "No. لَعَلَّ اللَّهِ يَخْرِجُ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَصْلَابِهِمْ مَنْ يَعْبُدُ اللَّهِ مَنْ يَوَحِّدُ اللَّهِ." He says, "No, that perhaps from between them, from between their ribs, Allah will bring out a generation that will worship Allah." And so that is what happened. That the Prophet ﷺ was patient. And no, he was not easily accepted. He faced rejections. And no, he didn't get shahadas after shahadas right away. He struggled. And so we must ask ourselves, what have we done to carry that message of the Prophet ﷺ? When the unfortunate attacks happened on our brothers and sisters in New Zealand, the immediate discourse, the immediate talks after were, how are we going to protect our masajid? How are we going to protect our masajid? Which is okay to talk about, which we must talk about. But just as important, what have we told our brothers and sisters that live amongst us about Islam? People are dying to know. What is Islam? Brothers and sisters saying we're not terrorists, we're not terrorists, we're not terrorists, is not going to cut it anymore. Who are you? What is your purpose? What is your meaning? What are you here for? What is this God you worship? People don't even know that Allah means God. Something so simple that you can explain in a simple conversation. And I'm sure most of you saw the video of the brother in Indiana who was on his way on a mission to blow up a masjid, and he literally had the FBI after him. And he gave Muslims another chance, and he went inside the masjid and he talked to the masjid outreach committee, and they gave him the Quran, and he asked about this and this and this, and he hated Muslims vigorously. And lo and behold, the man not only accepted Islam, but he ended up becoming the president of the masjid three years later. And so this is the power of da'wah. That this same person who embraced Islam, you see him and you see Umar ibn Khattab, who was on his way to kill the Prophet ﷺ. Yes, not everyone is going to end up being Muslim. That's the way of Allah. This is the sunnah. But at the end of the day, there are some. And for them to accept the message, we must do our part. And if we don't, Allah will bring a generation that will do their part. And so I come to you on behalf of the outreach committee in this masjid. If you came a little bit earlier and caught the first khutbah, you would have seen that there were about 30 students and their professor here just to learn about Islam. They come from universities all over the nation. We've had students from Notre Dame. We've had students from Wisconsin. We've had people from California. We have people from Dearborn. We have people from all over the country coming to learn about Islam. Just last week we had another group, and the week before. But brothers and sisters, the truth is that this needs money. The same way that having security for the masjid needs money, so does this need money. And ask yourself, if I was up here and I was fundraising for security for the masjid, to buy armor for the masjid, to buy literally guns for the masjid, to have protection at the masjid, you would feel so safe if we had those, and we would all pitch in thousands and thousands for just having a security office with guns. But I tell you, we have a da'wah committee that goes every week and hosts groups from all over the nation to teach them about Islam, to give them a mushaf. This mushaf in itself costs money. These brochures, they cost money. To reserve a da'wah table at the festivals throughout Michigan costs money. Some of them cost thousands. But the brother Mus'ab, he still does it, and it almost costs over 1,000 for some of them. To host people at an art fair and tell them the message of Islam. That costs thousands of dollars. To bring them in and feed them and be kind, that costs money. And so if we want to just build masajid and build and build and build, but never invest in the initiatives and the programs in those masajid, then those masajid are pointless, honestly. Yes, it's great that we built a masjid and we're continuing to build masajid. But in the same way that we built those masajid, we must keep on funding them and funding the activities that go inside those masajid. And I remind you that yes, we have so many initiatives that we have to donate to, and it becomes distressing. It's like almost every week there's a fundraiser, and there's so many things we have to give to. But remember, this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَنفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتُ فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي لَوْلَا أَخَّرْتَنِي إِلَى أَجَلٍ قَرِيبٍ فَأَصَّدَّقَ. Out of all things, he said, oh Allah, if you have just let me stay for some more time, that I may give. And you got to ask yourself, why of all things, on that day we asked Allah to let us go back just so we can donate. Not so we can fast more, not so we can pray more, but so we can donate. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your donations are amplified with Him. What you give, don't look at it as $1. Don't look at it as $10. Don't look at it as $1,000. There's a beautiful story of Abdullah ibn Abbas. He was walking in the city and he sees a little girl, and that little girl comes up to him with a flower. Just as a gift. And Ibn Abbas, he's so overcome with emotion of this little cute girl just coming up to him with a nice flower. And so he has a bunch of sheep with him and he gives her one. A whole sheep. And the people say to him, you gave her a sheep just for a small flower? And that little girl was a slave girl. And he says something very powerful. He says, اعطتنا على قدرها فأعطيناها على قدرنا. She gave us from what she could give, so we gave her from what we could give. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلِ الْأَعْلَى. And for Allah is the best example that what you give, He knows how much you have. He knows what percentage that is from your bank account. He knows that you gave $1,000 while you really have $5,000 and you're struggling to pay the bills. He knows. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, as the Prophet ﷺ says, and he says, Wallah, thumma wallah, thumma wallah, ma naqasa abdi malin min sadaqah. That he swears, the Prophet of Allah, he says, by Allah. And when the Prophet ﷺ swears, when he says anything, let alone swears, he does not say it from his own whims and desires. He knows. And he says, مَا نَقَصَ عَبْدَ مَالٍ مِّن صَدَقٍ. The wealth of a slave of Allah does not decrease from a simple charity. And you may ask yourself, I gave $1,000, where did that $1,000 back? It came back. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala perhaps gave your son or daughter a scholarship through that money. Perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved you the disaster of an accident which you had to pay thousands of dollars for. It came back through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessing you with something you would have never imagined. Although it wasn't an actual physical $1,000. But that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will repay it to you. And so I ask you, dear brothers and sisters, that today after Salah, to give us some of your time and donate with whatever you can. The Prophet ﷺ says, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُونَ مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You will not achieve piety until you invest, until you give from that which you love. I know you love this. We all love our wealth and we all want it for our families and our children. But give for the way of Allah. Give so that people may understand this message of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah اللهم اهدنا واهد بنا، اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم آتي قلوبنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا، اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا، اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقيموا الصلاة.